Shaking Hands with Strangers, episode 9. School's out forever, and we're going to get up on this mic today. I feel like it's still a party from last night. That's why I said tonight.
Yeah. Well, you guys, it looked like you guys are having fun.
Yes, we're going to get to that later. I have the lovely Swanny with me.
Hello. Very good to be here with you.
Thank you for doing this another episode with me. This is a good one because it's a heated one.
The heat is on. The heat is on. Yeah, I mean, for real, though.
I got to make jokes because I'm going nuts over here.
That's why I sang. It's the same reason.
Yeah. So I wanted to start with this one because it's a real deal for a lot of people, and particularly myself in the last few weeks. Depressive realism, right? People struggling with depression. And I like this. I don't typically share, I guess this is a meme.
Yeah.
Is a theory that people suffering from depression may actually have a more accurate perception of reality than those with healthy minds. What's healthy, right?
Well, yeah, that's healthy. Literally is only a perception. I love when you share. I'm glad that you're sharing this because it's just, I don't think we talk enough about what causes the state of depression. And I think there are many people who maybe actually don't think that the depression exists from an early age. Like maybe they think it's all a hoax, but actually, I definitely know, and I have experienced throughout different portions of my life, I definitely feel like I have experienced a level of depression. And it's hard because, for me, I'm not, until I started meeting people in this community, I really didn't like to talk about it because most of my depression comes from, frankly, the state of the world and the fact that, when you believe certain things, you become really isolated unintentionally.
Little shout out, Mr. Baldini. I think right now, if you aren't looking at the world and are a little dismayed,
yeah,
there's something wrong.
I agree with you.
Something
completely.
wrong with you.
Exactly.
So are you really healthy if you think you're just in this world right now? You're going to work every day, or you're doing whatever you do for your life, I guess, typically. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, things are going great, guys. I'm really feeling good about it.
I mean,
are you paying attention? Have you seen other people today? Or
there's so many people though who are in that state. It's the willful ignorance.
Right. But at the same time, I know that feeling that fear is part of a trap that I don't want anything to do with.
Totally.
So you have to get strong. You have to kind of become more empowered yourself, right?
Yes. So we should make sure to clarify the topic that we most want to discuss today is the depressive realism that we are experiencing, not only as currently us as a community, Jenny and I, but also as a state, as a nation, and all throughout the world, is the way that they are handling school children. And in this case, we are feeling the depressive realism. We're experiencing this state of depression from the reality that our children are frankly being abused. And
yeah, so I have grown up in this community and gone to the same school all the way through.
That your
public
children
school
would currently be attending.
I was excited about sending my kid to school, not necessarily because I was like, this is the best education and I'm never going to teach him anything other than this, right?
Right.
clearly there were some fill-in-the-blank situations there, but I was excited about him learning to read and write and be a part of a community, a larger community, have that feeling of belonging and knowing your neighbors and your friends.
Absolutely.
And learning how to interact with others when your family is not with you, learning to read micro expressions, figuring out how to share with others.
Right.
And getting those childhood illnesses so his immunity gets boosted up.
Absolutely. Right.
That's my logic.
Right. And so right now they're trying to take away all of those things that are normal and natural within those school children's lives. So what are you experiencing then within our community? Because I don't have children yet, though I am and have been trying to start having a family. So it very much matters to me, you know, what the children's experiences are, and also what the parents' experiences are. So sure, what's your experience so far then?
So last year they did, you know, this whole deal. And I absolutely won't send my child to a place that is going to torture him. And in my opinion...
And you mean in reference to the...
In my opinion, masking is absolutely abuse. It's abuse, and you can't say it's not abuse. It's absolutely abuse.
I agree. I mean, there's so much evidence that you're inhaling extreme toxic substances, not to mention all the other diseases. Like I've heard like tuberculosis, and the things that they've discovered doing some testing on these masks is unbelievable. Yeah,
and you know, we talked about depression and a healthy mind in the beginning of this. I'm on I follow NAMI, right? An organization committed to helping people with mental health, right? And they keep posting these virtue signaling mask things, right? So I put underneath, you know, if you're really for mental health, you wouldn't be putting these things on your face. They're outside. These people are outside. It doesn't even matter. There's no logic that matters. I've stopped. People try to argue the logic with them.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Right.
There's no more logic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at numbers or data or stats or facts or, you know what? If you can't look at a child with your common sense as a human being that you've learned in your life and say, that's abuse to cover his voice. It's abuse to cover his speech, to cover his breath.
Yeah.
Then there's something mentally so wrong with you and you're so evacuated, I don't even know that there's a person there left to reason with.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I've been feeling that about society for a long time, long before this became an issue. And, you know, the picture we have up right now is actually from someone in our neighborhood that I happened to catch while on a walk. And, you know, it like brought me so much joy when I saw that, because the truth is whether or not you agree with whether people should take a vaccine or not, or really do anything with their body, you know, it doesn't, whatever you choose to do is what you choose to do. If you want a vaccine, great. If you don't, great. Like, you should be able to choose whatever it is that you want. And for me, that's the same thing, you know, with wearing a covering over your your mouth. You know, if that's something that you choose to do, then you should be able to choose to do that. But I don't think that anybody should be forced. And for me, you know, I'll straight up say, as an adult, I have PTSD from wearing, or when I experience extreme discomfort when I wear them, because I was attacked when I was in grade school and had someone cover my face with their hand, and so I associate the covering of my mouth with an extreme.
A lot of people do,
like a traumatic event.
I've heard this from other people. There's not something that's not common. They had to have known this stuff,
and then
it's like purposeful torture.
It really is. I mean, and so wild. I mean, I think we had discussed this a while back, and maybe our first discussion is that after a while, like, I couldn't stand it because this area is so compliant, and in the beginning it felt so hard to like be the only person.
Yeah.
But after a while, I stopped giving a fuck. I'm over that.
You know what? I think there's a growing number who are done, and I'm kind of good with that. I'm in good company because I felt done before, and now I really know that in my spirit, in my heart, I'm done. I'm so done. So that being said, week or 2 weeks before school, they call an emergency school board meeting, and not only do they say that everybody has to wear masks, and they're not really talking exemptions, right?
That's bad.
Not only that, they want to do tracking. They want to implement something to track, trace track who are you with and for how long and what and this and that, right?
How would they be implementing that?
Well, it was in their plan. They presented this plan.
But I mean, like, what would they actually do to implement that? Like, were they gonna give the kids
I don't even know
bracelets or something to wear?
No,
I don't understand.
I don't know how they were going to do it. I don't know if they're just going to question you, sit and put the spotlight on you, or I have no idea.
Interrogations for kids.
Right? So this happens after somebody becomes positive, right? Because this is so insane, these people. I can't even get a grip with them. And then the other part of it was, there was another part that bothered me. So it was not just the masks, it was the tracing, and it was different quarantine plans for vaccinated versus unvaccinated children. So that means, put all the pieces together, right? So if 6 kids are around one kid that has to go home, and the 6 around him that are sitting around him have to go home, right?
Yeah.
But most of them are gone for a week, but Timmy's gone for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Now when Timmy comes back, they know he's the dirty unvax kid, right?
That's, I can't understand how we're just setting it up for even more abuse, because that then the bullying becomes abusive as well from the other kids. When they become a target immediately.
And then there was something posted that a teacher had told, so now I'm all of these groups, right?
Yeah,
these local groups. Some of them are mad. Some of them are just district groups, whatever. And, well, most people are mad. Let's be honest.
I think, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of what I've
school board
seen.
meeting. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us more about the school board meeting here.
Oh, God. So they hold the emergency meeting. They do it 2 hours earlier than most meetings with a group of school board members who have extended their terms to align with other elections so they can have budget cuts, but it extends all their terms. Some of these people have been on this board for years and years, right? Years and years. And
that's so weird to me. I feel like it should be the board members should be rotated out every few years.
Yeah. So some of these people, I mean, this is what they do. I don't know.
That's a creepy career, I feel like. Doesn't it seem a little creepy?
So it seems creepy when you go there and you see how they act, because they are like, we don't even have to be holding this in public, and we don't even have to let you speak, and all these things that they were saying in the beginning, like,
even though you all pay taxes
diminishing us
for
all.
Your schools.
Oh yeah. And then there's one guy, my favorite though, was the guy who is in his own home office, right? On camera, so that they have the laptop. They have people sitting there, and then this guy on the laptop. Oh, and geez. He, of course, is wearing a mask in his own home.
Are you kidding me? Okay, that's just the part that I just don't understand.
And
if you're on camera, don't just know.
Yeah. So
in your own home.
Moms, when they all walked out, the moms were like, "Oh, sure. So we know which way you're voting," because they all came out with the masks on, right?
Interesting.
And so he sat there and tried to give excuses. This guy was on the board, who was doing most of the speaking, about how nobody wants to be here, and we know it's going to be unpopular, but, we've never not listened. We have this obligation to listen to these organizations, and da-da-da-da-da, right?
Corruption. That's the thing for me. Like I feel like I gave up on anything related to, frankly, the government or institutions in general a long time ago. And I think the unfortunately, the longer that I think about it and study all sorts of things, the more I realize that money really is the root of absolutely every evil that exists on this planet. And somewhere down the line, money is involved that is corrupting that school board. There's no other answer, because otherwise this abuse would not be institutionalized. But I think I had started to maybe tell you the other day. So I went to a certain high school, and when I was going to high school there, we used to have this end of the year concert, and it went from celebrating really important music to I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like a woke concert. And mind you, the end of the year concert, they invite all the alumni. So I've been to this concert, over the years. I mean, I graduated 20 years ago. So, I've been to a few of these things, and I've always gone up and I sing the last song that everyone does together. But this last time that I went, I felt like in my heart, like I can't go to that anymore, because it was it was like the whole entire concert was like social justice warriors. And I was like,
well, because you gotta clarify it for me. Because here's the thing. Like when I hear woke, that word I don't even know what that means anymore. Okay. Because certain people use it so differently. I've had this conversation with Bill, but you mean it in social justice warrior way.
Yes.
For
if you are
disenfranchised, whoever's being left in the dust or whatever.
So the woke is more of the programmed political stance in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
and
more
that's
of a,
like what it means to Bill, and he kept saying it. And I'm like, that's not what that means to me. Why are you saying that word?
I think the other term is that you're looking for is awake.
Yeah.
And those two in my mind are very, very different, because the people who are awake don't like to call themselves woke. Me being definitely one of those. You're
right, I don't want that word necessarily.
Yeah,
but I think about it as like, I've heard people say it in a kind of a positive way of like, I don't know. So weird. You're right. Woke
I don't know.
It's totally different than a wake.
That's just the way that I see it anyways.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about pop culture is...
But yeah, there's
lots of weird interpretations of things.
There's sweeping change. And so... Of course, they voted the mask thing in, and they voted it all in, to people absolutely screaming at them. They'd stacked the deck with the first three speakers that were all pro-mask, and they come up there and they're, well, I just think and blah, 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 and then at the end, right? And then somebody comes up anti-mask, and they just annihilated it. I hurt my hands. I injured myself clapping because I was so excited to like hear the right message that we were all there for.
Right. And no matter what and then how can you prove there's no corruption when the entire room is saying this is wrong, we don't want this for our children, and the school board still does something that is completely against what you all are clearly saying is important to you and if they're going to have any part in, frankly, the raising of your children, because that's what a school does. They help to raise your kids. That's why for me, I've known, as I have desired to have a family and am trying, that I don't want to raise my kids in the school system whatsoever, that I will be doing some form of homeschooling and probably even leaning towards a theory learning, which is called unschooling. And so if you're interested, you should, do some research and discover it for yourself. But one of my favorite people who's kind of an unschooling guru. Her name is Dana Martin, and she was actually on a show called Wife Swap. A popular show. It's a popular show, and so I
want to get her on and have her talk about being on Wife Swap.
I bet you that she would actually talk with us.
Yeah?
I talked with her once before. She's a I don't know. She's just this really wonderful person. Her whole entire approach is like extreme connection and like gentle parenting, and her kids are totally amazing. They are essentially self-taught from the time that they were, most of them from the time that they were born. I can't remember if the oldest was unschooled forever, but so on Wife Swap, she switches place with this woman who is like extremely demanding and critical of her kids. And
I wonder if I've seen this episode.
You probably did. It's the other
this
woman.
Is awesome.
The other
I'm
woman
excited
dresses
about
like
talking to her now.
in like a militant outfit, even when they like do the swap when it's her turn to implement her rules.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's just insane. But the thing that's crazy is that so Dana encourages this other woman's children to like start expressing themselves because they have been extremely suppressed by this woman imposing her will on them, which is essentially what's happening right now. And they open up to her, like the young one. She's an artist, and so all of her art is like tucked underneath her bed. And Dana says, "Oh, well, this is beautiful. Like, we should really hang some up." And the girl, like, you can just see her light up because she's like, somebody cares about my art and they want to put it up. And so Dana like picks some frames with her, and they hang it up. Well, one of them that they hang is like they have like one of the split staircases. And so at the midpoint of the staircase on the wall, like it's kind of like in the center of their foyer or whatever, they decide to hang one of the pictures. And so when the girl's mom comes home, she's just furious because she can't understand. She doesn't understand how like compassion and connection and love are so valuable, and that's exactly what Dana gives them. So she comes home and she sees this painting on the wall, and she says, "That's cute, but that's not staying there."
Yeah.
She literally was like, "That's coming off the wall."
Yeah.
And to me, it's like that's basically what's happening right now. Is that we are by forcing all these medical devices onto children's faces, and also onto the employees, because again, like if they don't choose to have a medical device forced upon them, why should they have to lose their job? Same thing with the injections. Why should they be forced into any of this? It's disgusting. It makes me really sad. And again, if you choose to do that for yourself, if that is the choice that you make, I support you in your decision-making process. However, I do not support people forcing anything upon anyone else. If you need a reminder, look up the Nuremberg codes. Do you remember learning about that in school, my friends? Oh, If you don't, it's time to go re-educate yourself. Nuremberg codes as a reminder. Medical choice, medical freedom for all people across this earth. And it is being stifled everywhere, not just for our children. It's really sad.
What I'm surprised at is how many people are happy and excited to have a rule to follow.
I don't understand it, but I mean that's just the programming has been so hard, so heavy for so many generations. Though it's been going on at least since the invention of TV. That's when the first purposeful, programming was happening to our society. And so, when were the earliest, black and white, what was it Charlie Chaplin was doing?
Or they didn't have
The
Takis or whatever. No, not They were Takis after.
Right, it was before. That's what I was going to say.
Before the Taki, pre-Taki, you're talking about.
I can't think of what to call those. But anyways, so pre-Takis when they used to have the they're at the pre-Takis. So when you had that, it was like even then you got to imagine that there's already was programming in that. They've been using media for the longest time.
The funny part is my aunt and uncle used to call us the television kids because I have spent so much time consuming that.
Oh,
I mean, to the point where like I almost feel like I have a split personality because I hear the programming stuff and I'm like, that makes sense to the programming mind, and then you look at the other side and you're like, dear Lord, like,
oh, sure.
And it's scary what they can convince these people to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, right, because you and I still, even though we can function and want to function outside the paradigm, unfortunately, in fact, not just you and I, but everybody, we are all somehow or another forced to live within the paradigm. Even the people who, for example, somehow decide to go full out on following a common law and becoming a sovereign citizen, for example, they still have to live within the paradigm. And every single time something happens to them,
and they have to talk very fast too.
Right? So even somebody who's out, quote unquote, quote unquote, outside the paradigm, they're still stuck in the paradigm. And so that's the thing is that we can never escape that. It's like,
I heard something the other day too about parallel society, like trying to build a parallel society. So you work on that while the other one's collapsing because it's collapsing.
And it's, as we've talked about before, you and I both have these connection groups.
We have a connection mindset,
we do.
To try to connect with people who bring a value.
Yes, because that's the only way that we will survive in this world together is, quite honestly, if we create these networks, these communities, and some of them might be small and some of them, might be large, but it's the only way. And in our next segment, I'm really excited because we'll start talking about a little deeper about the connection aspect and how we can hopefully use this to overcome all the insanity in places like the workplace, which, if anybody that's alive has probably heard now, the 6-point plan. So there's that. So anyways, we need to make our own 6-point plans and remove ourselves as much as possible from the grip of that system. I mean, it's not easy, and a lot of us are kind of ill-equipped because we've been living within the paradigm, even though we think outside the paradigm. We're living in it, but we think outside it.
Yeah.
Right? So we still, I think about it every time I go to the grocery store. I hate buying plastic.
Yeah.
But if there's products I want that are, of a certain mindset, if I'm looking to buy organic, for example, and they're packaged in plastic, what do?
Yeah.
Do I go buy the GMO stuff that I can not put in plastic?
No, you get that organic.
Of course. But it sucks because then I'm buying that freaking plastic, and that makes me really angry too. And so, it's like you can't, that's just one of those moments. You cannot escape the paradigm.
Very, it's so cute because you had a little tea wrapper, and you're like, do you recycle? And I just looked at you like, you don't just throw that in the garbage. It's just a small, tiny little itty bitty, just so small. But you know what? I think it is I was just having that thought about celebrating every little win, right?
Mm-hmm.
every little teeny
You
tiny
kind of
little
have
win.
to when you live in a psychotic world. Because if you don't, you will be absolutely crushed by it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you
We're up
have
against
to
it.
celebrate
We are
those
up
weird
against it.
tiny moments.
Oh, so
even
tiny
if it's
moment,
doing a happy dance by yourself, you know.
tiny moment that I want to celebrate with you right now is I want
Yes.
you to tell me about when you visited the park.
Oh yeah. So okay. Well, I'm gonna go a little deep here in personal into my life. I've mentioned a few times in this conversation that I've been looking to have a family, and someone that was unexpected I had a conversation with, and he encouraged me to share my experience. And you know, he shared his experience with me and about he and his lady. And you know, I'm not gonna share their details, but from my perspective, I had a miscarriage, and so right now I would be, you know, getting on to, well, my due date would have been in the middle of February. Yeah. So, you know, it's been really, really challenging. And it's also, as I see all these things happening around me, you know, I feel like I've not only been mourning the loss of my own child, but I've been mourning the loss for, oh my gosh, for the children in this world. I'm mourning the loss of them. Like you said, seeing those expressions. I mean, right now, like literally the two of us are sitting here like about to, like, you know, create a lake in our laps because because these emotions that you hear in our voices, they're real on our faces and in our hearts. Like it is devastating to see what is happening. It really is. And, you know, it terrifies me as a person who wants to be a mom that I'm going to have to face who knows what with a young baby potentially. Like
A world that thinks that that's okay. A world that thinks it's okay to take a man who's created a business over the course of his whole entire life, who has told his employees and his staff that masks are optional, and has been cornered because he deals with children, has been cornered by parents who have lost their friggin' heads and told him, "You're a danger to my child. Are you vaccinated?"
it's crazy.
And he's looking at leaving his job, just retiring, just saying, "You know what? I'm done."
It's insane. This whole thing is so insane, Jenny.
And I really wonder, because we all know there's side effects.
Oh, of course.
From some of these products. I really wonder, really gotta wonder, how people are gonna feel later.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Yes. Sorry, it got deep. It got heavy. We kind of knew it was gonna. We were gonna do this yesterday, and we had a short amount of time, and we're like, we're not gonna be able to get this done. You know.
I'm glad we waited.
Woo. Yeah.
I'm glad we waited. I shared. I took some pictures around. So the theme of our show today is "School's Out Forever."
Yeah.
If you know the musical reference, you're cool. If you don't, I don't know. Go check that shit.
Or maybe you know, you've saved yourself from all media and you've lived, you know, like you wonder, some of these people who are like Amish and stuff, you're like, "Oh, guys, friends."
Oh yeah, that's right. That's true.
My new best friends. May I infiltrate your community somehow?
I grew up in upstate New York, and the Amish are quite. There's quite a heavy presence of them, and
Very cool.
Oh man, we used to get some of the most amazing stuff from them. It was awesome.
They know how the world works.
Oh yeah, so I was saying, and you just changed the picture here I've been taking pictures around the neighborhood, and I hope the neighbors don't think I'm creepy.
You can go back and forth, yeah.
But the one that's currently up with the leaves, I think it's actually tilted, but then again, I'm not sure because I sometimes don't know when I can't tell. But anyways, the purpose of this is not whether it's what direction it is, but that it was one of the first trees I noticed that had like a significant amount of the colors change, and like it just reminded me of like the feeling of school starting, and just thinking, it's our theme is school's out forever, like. This, even though this will forever make me think of the time that institutionalized school is supposed to start.
Yeah.
For now, well, I mean, I've already told you, everyone I've shared on this podcast here that, that I have always planned on homeschooling no matter what. But, I am forever going to think of it as the time that, like, hopefully our world started realizing the actual importance of our children.
Yeah.
And that there's more and more people that, no matter what, they figure out a way, like, obviously we've even talked about if it were necessary that I would be interested in helping to teach your children. And I've offered the same to other friends of mine as well. And I am their backup plan should they remove their girls from school as well. And so there is a need for people who are interested in teaching to step up and create these homeschool or unschooling or forest schooling or whatever kind of schooling you desire, anything that is supportive of the children in your lives.
It's scary.
Get together, make a bubble, help each other out.
So here's the thing, and this is what I'm going to say, because like I've heard this from other parents that they didn't want to homeschool, and it's scary because you know what? And as a truther person, I'm like, when I hear people that they homeschool, I'm like, awesome, you're doing better than me. I get it. Like you're awesome, right? Like I don't mean that in a like condescending way. I'm literally like, you are doing better than me, right? But right now, I feel like he's in a good school. I had all these reasons, right? Especially with the community. And one of the biggest reasons in my mind going into it was being exposed to germs, right?
Mm-hmm. We want him to be exposed to germs, just to clarify to the people who are listening. In case you don't know, that's what we're talking about.
Anyone who used to use common sense used to know that.
But there's... You gotta question that right now.
But the message is that it's scary because for the same reason that it is exciting. It's terrifying and exciting because you know what? It's scary to actually, I'm responsible to figure out what he really needs to know.
Right.
Big girl pants time. I'm the adult.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, and that's why I choose... That's why I'd like... I mean, actually, that's one of the reasons that I feel like unschooling is my flavor. And the only reason is because I feel like a self-led life, which is how I've been living for many years now. I don't think I talk necessarily always about this, but I think we've talked a little bit about my non-negotiable principles at once or twice. And that's all part of me living living that life where I'm led by my own intuition and by the things that make me feel as positive and alive and, whatever as possible. And the thing is that it doesn't always mean that it probably doesn't mean that I'm going to be rich. Okay? Just to clarify to a lot of people, it doesn't mean that I can't make a lot of money.
Right.
That's tricky, but and especially in the world that we're getting into, I mean, it's going to be harder and harder for a lot of people to keep their jobs, let alone.
I did notice that on your stage when you play, you have a giant tip jar, and I love that you have a giant. It's like unmistakably large up there on the stage with you, like your stage buddy is a giant tip jar.
One thing that's okay, so there's a practical reason for that. In addition to the fact
people can see it.
Well, yes, but that's not the practical reason I speak of. Yeah, although that is
also
one.
Positive.
So one of the things is that I actually use my tip jar as a carrier for other things, and a lot of things is like, or a lot of times when I'm outside, the tip jar, if you don't have things in it, it will fall over because it's just plastic. So I keep like business cards in the bottom of there. I also have special pins that I use for some of my equipment when I'm putting up lights or speakers. I have extra equipment in there for that, and like so. The weight of that helps to also to steady it. So if it was any shorter than it is, you would see all the stuff that is in it to keep it in place. So I mean, obviously I don't need that when I'm inside, but I play a lot outside during the summer, so it's vital that I have something to hold it in place. And it doesn't hurt that it can get stuffed pretty deep either.
I took it as like a good message to the crowd that like, hey, you need to come over here and get this thing filled up.
Hey, I work hard for that money.
Yeah, you do.
I work hard for it.
It's awesome. So this is a great.
I would never put on a half-ass show. It's not exactly. It's not my game.
Segue into your song that you're going to have for us for a break here, right?
So I think this first one we're going to listen to is called Sea Cat Run. And it's actually inspired, which is kind of ironic, by like a viral cat video that I saw, that I watched a bunch of times because it made me laugh a lot. And I'm a crazy cat lady.
I wonder if we could find that video.
We might be able to. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, there's probably so many that are very similar.
It'd be hard to find that one.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to. But I would try. I would try. And then, so anyways, the reason I wanted to share this one during this discussion here is because it's time to run away. Yeah. So in this, I should explain the video. So in the video, the cat is like, he's like sitting just full stop, like chilling. And then all of a sudden just takes off crazy. And it's just, I don't know why, but there's something about this video that just made me laugh hysterically. It was so funny. And yeah. And so then it's just thinking about like, that's where we've been. We've been that complacent, derped out cat. And right now it is time for us to literally go from full stop to just like, to running away from the place that we have been like consistently imprisoned. We just need to get away from the system that is trying to just usurp all of our humanity. And if we don't make those groups together, if we don't run away together, whether it's literally or figuratively, it doesn't really matter, whatever that means to you and your network, your community, but reach out to find people, man. Don't be alone, because if you're alone, the crazier things that are coming, they will be a lot harder for you to deal with if you don't have people to lean on. So reach out to those people. So yeah, so this is a run, and we'll tell you where to run after the break here.
All right. I love the cat pictures. Thank you for sharing those and the song
Absolutely.
with us.
Of course.
So we are back. I wanted to talk about the big news in the FE community, if you know what that word means. No. So David Weiss launched the Friend Finder update to his app. And this was, I think, the first day. It was one of the first couple days. It was that first weekend for sure.
This is the picture you're showing now.
Yeah, I took a screenshot.
It's how many people were users at the time.
Yes. So I think this was the first day. If it wasn't, it was like the second day, right?
And just in case some of you don't know your geography, this is the United States. Just saying.
Just gonna start teaching.
I mean, hey, who knows where people are listening, anyways. For real though.
Yeah.
No judgments, but this is the U.S.
Yes. You go all over. There's some.
It looks like there's some Canada going on up there as well that you can see, and maybe down into some Mexico.
Yeah. So I'm selfish. I took a screenshot of the area where I am,
which is awesome. Of course.
I went all over. It's so fun just to like flip around and just see stuff. So that's 1 week later.
That's amazing.
That's 1 week later. That's amazing. Yeah.
I'm so excited about that.
All these lights pop it like you can't even. And I guess they are having trouble with lagging. I was having trouble trying to zoom in and zoom out and stuff because there's so many people now.
It's amazing. I haven't joined, but I think I need to do that.
So fun. Oh my God. People, once every one of these people that's excited about it gets a couple more on.
Yeah. Well, it's like we were talking about in the last segment is we need to develop our communities. This is, I think I pretty much said to you, because you're the one who told me that this was finished, and no dogging David Weiss, because his app is great, and I think it's cool because I know a lot of people are using it for education for people who are curious, and so that's amazing. I, however, don't have any doubts about my feelings. So for me, the lure of having his app specifically would be for something like this. So that's why I know that now I need to take care of that. But also, I'm sure I might wait just a minute so that he can. I don't know. Are the bugs fixed?
Right.
Now?
So there were some bugs in the beginning. I couldn't message people the first couple days, and then they got that sorted. So since earlier this last week, I had been messaging some people, and I had been doing flat Earth meetups for a period of time before this, and we get a smattering. We've had probably the size, at most we had the size group that was there last night.
Right, and
at most.
Right, and it was. I know that you were kind of feeling bummed, and like you had expressed to me at one point. You're like, man, I can't figure out like how to bring people to these groups, and like I feel bad because like I told you that for me it's hard because my job is in a public setting, and so it's hard for me to want to meet people in a public setting when I spend a lot of my time in that setting.
That's why we're going to ambush you sometimes. So sometimes we're going to do the flat Earth meetups when you have a show.
I like that.
And then you're trapped. You have to. We have one flat Earther already here because you're trapped because you're playing.
Yes.
Plus you're really fun to see.
Thank you.
It's fun to see you perform. Maybe you could develop.
You've become an amazing fan, and I really actually appreciate your dedication to music, because I know it's not just me. I know you love and support a lot of musicians.
I love local music.
Yeah,
and
also through your podcast, you've played people from all over. So I know every time I talk to you. Actually, that's how I know I have a good friend, because all of my good friends tell me about their favorite music, and it's interesting because I feel like I actually am kind of weird as a musician. I don't really seek out new music. I get it secondhand, as weird as that sounds. But so it's great. That's why I know that you and I like really connect, because you always are like, oh, have you heard this song by this person or whatever? Or like, oh, or like you'll even tell me like, oh my gosh, I can't get enough of whatever song that I've shared with you. And That's pretty rad. I appreciate that. And also, speaking of friend finder, like ours was a little more like last generation apparently.
It's a little more effort put in.
Well, I mean, I would have, how cool it would have been for us to actually meet through this app, but we had the pleasure of meeting before that through, as many of you have heard in this podcast before, through Baldini's channel. I got really psyched because Jenny has the same, or a local area code.
The stars of you and me and Baldini are going to align someday, and we're going to do a show together, and it's going to be awesome. It's just getting all those stars to align perfectly. We kind of move about a little erratically sometimes.
I would say I definitely do. Yeah, it's hard to move around effortlessly in a world that is as nuts as it is right now.
Yes.
But it's really cool. I'm so excited that now it's a lot easier with David Weiss's app. It's so amazing.
So I really enjoy, because I've been, I think there's really value in going out and blowing off some steam with some people you can relate to.
Sure.
It was so fun last night to see people that they walk up and I'm just ready to hug them. I already know. You've got the David Weiss app. I mean, it was so fun. We had a guy there that was interested in common law stuff.
That's awesome.
We had a guy who listened to hours and hours of Crow like I had. I can't tell you how many times I say Crow and people are like, who? And then I'm like, really? You don't know? Like, you don't know who that is? Or just all the different aspects. We had a lovely couple that had been doing some imaging of the luminaries.
Very cool.
Really neat. And they were, they had a lot to offer. I know Bill spoke to them and we were thinking about getting together with them at some point.
Nice.
Separately. So yeah, just beautiful. And it's helped me greatly. I'll just say that's been a big help for me.
Well, it's interesting. I can tell your mood as we're recording this is, I mean, we were discussing how, like, even though I am not physically a parent yet, you are. And I could tell yesterday, because we were going to record this podcast last night, and, I could tell just how, like, genuinely stressed you were. And I know that you're not the only one. I mean, I am not physically a parent, but it stresses me out. It frustrates me and it angers me. And I'm so glad that there are ways now, finally, thank God, that we can all start to connect a little bit easier. I mean, we, again, you and I have our own personal connectors, our little groups, but, David Weiss has obviously just made it like, it says it's it's literally on a whole new plane. Ha, get the joke.
Yes, I have to actually give tons of props to David Weiss for this. I got teary for a second at one moment.
I don't blame you.
It was beautiful. Beautiful.
I don't blame you.
Absolutely beautiful.
I'm just, things like that give me hope.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's a local musician that's in one of the common groups that we're a part of, and he is on the outside. He's a really great entertainer. So you might get the impression that he's somehow stuck up or a sellout or something like that. But in truth, he's really not. He's actually an incredibly genuine person, and he and I had the most random conversation the other day about sharing the things that we're going through, because truthfully, like, my difficult experience, I'm not the only person, who has gone through it. And I feel like I've been kind of suffering through it. And what I finally realized, thanks to his encouragement to me, was that I just need to know the right people to talk to. And that's ultimately, I mean, isn't that what we're all looking for, in this situation? Like, we need to know the right people that we can talk to so we can build these communities, whether that, that might include teachers or, doctors, nurses, that might include people who have space so that we can implement our own systems. We need to be able to start thinking about those things, because pretty soon here we're probably going to see those being limited to those of us who, someone called it potioned. Who was I listening to? One of the podcasters I listened to, he called it unpotioned. So for those of us who are unpotioned, we are, we're going to see some potential suffering if we don't give in to their system. And so we need to start, figuring out ways to care for each other. So, reach out to that app. Everybody go do that.
He's going to do some updates. It sounds like to make some different features, maybe a status. He said that he was going to change color of your icon if you chose to be an organizer, which I am obviously wanting to get, like, can I get,
you are
like,
an organizer, yes.
Can I get one of the top 100 organizers? Can I be one of the first, whatever. That's what was so cool about being on there. I'm like, I want to be one of the first people on here. This is awesome.
I'm a subtle political commentator because I allow it to come through in my music, but 98% of people aren't listening very closely.
That's what I was going to say, and I lost track. I don't know if I said it or not.
So the two people who are listening closely,
I was
those are my
wondering
people.
if you could...
not that everyone else isn't, but...
You should write some subtle FE songs for, like, when we come to see you, and you could play them, and they're, like, FE songs, but other people don't know that they're FE songs.
What was that, our last episode?
Yeah.
Glorious Day?
Yeah.
That entire song is a...
That's a little more obvious. You don't think that's obvious?
I think you'd be surprised that...
I want you to play it for somebody who's totally blind to the whole idea and see if they, like, say, hey, is this... What do you mean here?
Right? Well, I mean, like, I don't know. What do you think I mean?
What do you think I mean?
That's my question is, like, because the way how I always explain it, and I've even explained it on this podcast to you, is that the interpretation of a song... because many people would think of a plane as a realm of existence, whereas we don't view it as a realm of existence. It is, the physical implementation of the world that we live on. So, level.
So awesome. Oh, yes. I had gotten I need to get some more gear. One guy had a FE map shirt,
Yeah.
I'd love to get some more gear from various places and sources. Support the community more.
You're an excellent supporter.
I want to be.
Hey, actually, and it's important, I think, to remind people who really do support that it's meaningful to us, because as artists we're always on the fringe. It's just the way it is for us, and it makes it challenging because we have to balance our safety in this in the world, because a lot of times we have something to say. For me, I've learned to incorporate it in a subtle way, and that way people who are really genuinely listening will understand. And those, it's the whole, like, it's kind of like, reminds me of the whole Bible phrase, like, if you have ears to hear, you'll hear. If you have eyes to see, you'll see. If you don't, well, then it's just another song.
Yeah.
And so that's the importance
That's true,
of how I like to write.
The person who is always driving for that deeper meaning probably already knows.
That's also
true. And the
true.
person who doesn't dive for deeper meaning, they just kind of swim in the shallow water all the time.
Sure. Well, think about how many people listen to something like the Red Hot Chili Peppers that say, space is created in the Hollywood basement, right? Okay, so if you hear that lyric, I mean, how many people have heard that and don't think anything of it?
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
Thank you.
That's what it is.
I totally paraphrased there, but yes, that's correct.
Yes.
That's the lyrics. And so how many times has that song been listened to by people across the world. Like,
it never hit me, I suppose.
but there it is right there. I mean, think about the what is it, the Who song? I can see for miles and miles and miles and miles.
He just keeps going.
Miles. How many times does he freaking say it? How many times does he freaking say it? And I think I need to count that now. But come on. It's in pop culture. So for me to put it out where you think it looks blunt, which maybe it does to you because it's obvious to you. So when you read that, you pick it out. But the same goes for if you read someone else's lyrics and they're talking about it, or if I just, share them with you right now, you can tell obviously that those are they know they're a part of the esoteric cult that knows that the world is the way that we're the way that we see it. So yes, they talk about it. That's part of their deal. Anyways. So.
Wow. You know what? I need to get something to eat.
Yeah, ditto. Well, this has been a lovely morning.
I'm going to get hangry on you otherwise.
I know we're going to do. This has been a lovely morning chat.
Yes. Thank you all. It'll be out in the afternoon.
Hour.
It'll be out before
too long.
Yes.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you
great.
so much. See you on the other side.
Peace.
Do you even love me?